Hi everyone, buyer's agent Jay Pace here for Providence Property Group with a market update for the month that was June 2024. Can't believe we're already in July right now. So for those new to the channel, we are a national buyer's agency with offices in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide and Perth. We believe that there is always an opportunity somewhere, and we help you to be a player and not a spectator in your wealth journey, focusing on quality properties over quantity. Operating through 3 decades, our experience will ensure no sleepless nights worrying about property markets. On this channel, we talk about all things property, but more importantly, I read the news and separate the fact from the fiction so you don't have to. So let's kind of jump straight into it. So the team and I have been flat out. There is us. Okay, so we were just at a recording session day. So we made some time. We jumped in the studio. We had 3 hours of recording yesterday on Thursday. Lots of juicy and raw stuff came out, and we can't really wait to share it with you all. It's going to be fantastic. Now, Domain and realestate.com. So Domain came out with their forecast report for 2025 financial year. And in the report, the forecasts are that houses specifically, so we'll talk about houses first, houses in Perth, Adelaide, Sydney and Brisbane are expected to lead price gains to reach new records. And by the end of financial year 2025, house prices will surpass $1.7 million in Sydney, $800,000 in Perth, and be almost $1 million in Brisbane. Okay? Now, that's not too crazy when you know specifically what the current numbers are right now. I think Sydney's about 1.4. I think Perth's about 750, and I think Brisbane's about 950, something like that. So nothing crazy, right? But that's by the end of next year. By the end of 2025 calendar year, Adelaide will also have cracked the $1 million median house price. Now, in regards to units, and I know I've talked about units quite a bit recently, and I haven't shown you many examples. I think we buy a handful of them here and there. But units in Sydney, Brisbane, and Adelaide are expected to lead price gains. Sydney, Brisbane, and Adelaide, Perth, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, and regional Australian unit prices will be at record highs. Now, I did say regional Australia there because that's part of the report, but I'm not buying in regional, and we're not telling any of our clients to. All right. But units make sense because people that are coming here, they need a place to live, and they're not going to be so nitpicky as to say it has to have a big backyard, need a big block, blah, blah, blah. That's not what's happening. They're renting and they're going straight to units. It just makes sense. Okay. So let's look at the Hedonic Home Value Index. So as we can see, for the month that was June 30, 2024, the month ended with 2% increase for the month for Brisbane, 1.7% increase for Adelaide, 1.2% increase for, Adelaide at 1.7 and Brisbane at 1.2. That's right. So first, second, third. Now let's look at the annual performance. We've got a little bit of a swap over between Brisbane and Adelaide. So Perth's actually the highest and still the highest performer at 23.6% return on your money. Plus, if you look at the total return column, that includes rental income, closer to 30%. Pretty unbelievable. And there are the median values that you can see there on the far right-hand side. So 23.6% in Perth, 15.4% in Adelaide, which just lost out by Brisbane beating it by 0.4% at 15.8%. So interesting there. Sydney slowing down still, Melbourne slowing down still. And we'll have a look at the actual numbers. So Perth again has increased from the numbers that I showed you last month, and I show you every month. It's currently up $179,000. Now, this is from a rolling 12-month average from July, or it was 30 June 2023 to 30 June 2024. Okay? And basically, it's showing $179,000 increase in Perth, divided by 52 weeks in the year, is $3,400 per week for the past 12 months on average. $135,000 in Brisbane. Now it's down. It was only down a couple $100, but it was down enough for me to say, okay, I've got to drop the arrow here at $2,600. Okay. Adelaide up again, $118,000 or $2,300 per week. Sydney down again at $74,000 for the year or $1,400 per week. And Melbourne again down $10,000 for the year or $200 on average per week. Now let's have a look at the number of total listings, because I get a lot of clients that say things to me like, oh, we want to buy, or leads realistically, not clients, we want to buy, but we just want to wait until there's more stock on the market. And this is a good chart because this shows you the performance of the market over, the last year or so, and it explains the amount of properties that are available for sale. So you've actually got a couple of years. You've got 2022, 2023, 2024, and you've got the previous 5-year average, just to show you the amount of listings. So the number of total listings nationally is currently 18.1% below that 5-year average. So we've got about 20% less stock than we usually have. Okay, let's keep looking. The total listings, if we change that to the equivalent period of last year and we divide that by each major capital city, you'll see Perth has the lowest amount of, or the biggest change. So it's actually got 23.8% less properties for sale today than what it did the same time last year in 2023. Second place is Darwin, but again, we're staying away from Darwin. It's still 10 years since its previous high, and it's still about 5% below that high. But then we've got Adelaide. Adelaide at 15.8% below the amount of stock it had last year. And then we've also got Canberra at 9.2. Again, we're not focusing too much on Canberra. Brisbane, 6.5. And the places that are leading the charge in regards to the market going down are the places that have the most stock. And that is Sydney and certainly Melbourne. Melbourne's got 15.4% more stock than it had last year. Now, median days on market, and I think this is really interesting too. So it says Australia 31, but think about the combined capitals because, again, we don't talk about regional on this channel. Combined capitals, 27 days last year, that's the grey. 27 days this year, that's the orange. Okay? Now, let's have a quick look and let's see Perth. 15 days last year to sell a property, now dropped by 30% to only 10 days. Lowest amount of days on market in Australia at the moment for that particular capital city. If we look at the vacancy rate across Australia, so the latest data shows a 1.2% vacancy rate. Now remember, across Australia, the median vacancy rate for the past 10 years has been 3%. So I'm showing you this at 1.2, so nearly 60% down, which is quite significant. But let's compare that to Perth itself specifically. Perth is currently at 0.6%. Now, that shows not a lot of stock on the market. No wonder why those rental yields are high. And to throw fuel on the fire that is international immigration, the government has signed a deal for an additional 10,000 skilled migration places for 2024-2025, creating more opportunities for the state's economy and residential construction industry. So these are skilled workers specifically being handpicked to build properties. Now, I think you need people to build properties, and definitely you need a system to pick specific people that you want to let into the country, not just let anybody in, because that weakens our economy. But this is still going to hit a sore spot for a lot of people, just the amount of people that are being let into the country and the lack thereof of properties available for rent. Now, the gross rental yields for dwellings across the combined capital cities have actually dropped down a little bit to 3.5%. And I actually think one of the big culprits is Perth. Because the price point's increasing so significantly quickly, rental yields can't keep up. So rental yields are actually starting to drop a little bit because as price goes up, rental yields go down, which is the reason why Sydney, being the highest priced capital city in Australia, also has the lowest rental yield at 3.1%. Let's talk about interest rates quickly. Interest rates have been a bit quiet lately. I think we've just been on hold for such a long time. But during its meeting, the RBA board opted to maintain the cash rate at 4.35%. Then the decision was driven by the persistence of high inflation. And I've seen the inflation numbers recently. And yes, they are higher. It would not surprise me if we do get one more interest rate rise before the end of this year. But one of the things that I found quite interesting is that Australia's top economic forecasters expect that the Reserve Bank is going to start cutting rates by March 2025. So taking about 0.35% off that market, which I think will be interesting to see what happens. If that full rate gets passed on at 0.35, it's going to take $125 off your monthly cost of servicing a $600,000 loan. Big whoop, okay? But anyway, that's the data so far. They had a panel of 29 forecasters and they put them together. And The Conversation, which is a ABC program apparently, They expect 0.3% to be dropped off by the end of 2025 additionally on top of that 0.35. So we're going to get closer to 0.65 be dropped down. And this would take the cash rate down to about 3.75, and that would give you about $335 per month off your $600,000 loan. So anyway, I don't think it's that amazing, but we're never going to get back to where we were prior to or during COVID. It's just not going to happen. Let's talk about some recent purchases for the month. We recently purchased this fantastic new house for a Sydney-based client, and the clients they own a property actually on the East Coast, but they're diversifying their property portfolio. And the goal that they've got here is they wanted to basically create more options for their retirement. So this is where we came in to assist them. Now, this is a huge, and the first photo I wanted to show was the built-in ensuite for the master bedroom. I rarely see en-suites that have a bathtub plus a double shower head plus 2 sinks. It's quite impressive. It's actually quite nice. This is a really nice new house. It's got a really beautiful outdoor area that's paved, little alfresco area. They've already got the sliding doors, and you've got the barbecue area there, which I think is really nice. We secured this off-market and undervaluation. So the distance to the CBD for this property is only 30 Ks. So it's 30 Ks northwest of Perth CBD, and the purchase price was $700,000. The rental estimate, conservative, about $700 per week. Okay? Or a 5.6% rental yield. Why do we love this purchase? It's a new build. It was completed in 2020. Okay? So it's 4 years old. Off market, we secured it below market too. We secured it, we believe, between $30,000 to $40,000 below market. If they took it to market, it would have easily sold $730,000, $750,000, something like that. Okay, top location, owner occupier appeal, little to no maintenance, just a great buy. Oh, I didn't realize that was all going to come up. There we go. So everything I just said is all there. This was another off market, and unfortunately, no real recent photos of the front of the property, so I know it doesn't look that fantastic, but I was able to find some better internal shots through CoreLogic's system. So it was built in 2017. The internals, they're large, they're modern, it's quite nice. Property's on a 375 square meter block, which I can't believe I'm saying it, but it's decent for this day and age, 375. Looking at the property itself, distance from the CBD, this particular property was about 30 kilometers northwest of Perth CBD, similar to the last one I just showed you, not in the exact same suburb. $560,000 rental estimate, $650 per week, or a 6% rental yield. And why do we love this purchase? Well, we secured this great property off market with a leaseback agreement at market value to the current owner, low maintenance, above average rental yield, and obviously owner occupier appeal. Really happy with it. So now let's go to Melbourne. So we bought this house on a massive 881 square meter block for an expat buyer looking to move back to Australia. And his plan is either a significant renovation or knockdown. And as I spoke more to the buyer's agent today to try to get more information, it seems like they're doing a significant renovation. So the home was originally built in the 1980s. It's very livable, and the seller expects to rent it out for a few years before actually returning back from overseas. There's so much potential here, and I'm really excited to see what the seller's going to do. Now, I've got a bit to read here because I've learned a lot today, just in regards to depreciation and tax and a few other bits and pieces. You can actually see in the bottom right-hand corner there, just below me, the estimate. Okay, so we actually ended up getting this property for $1.175 million, and the estimate's closer to 1.23. So we were very happy with it, and we lost a similar property at $1.25 million. And they were just going to knock it down. It was not livable at all. So we were persistent, we were patient, and it was a deceased estate. There were, I think, like 3 brothers or something like that we were trying to deal with, and one of them didn't want to sell. Like it was a bit difficult. But the buyer's agent was just kept going, coming back. Are you sure? What can we do? Just kept working with the real estate agent. Making the real estate agent's job easier is one of the biggest benefits that real estate agents see to working with a buyer's agent. So it was just really good because we don't get emotional. We understand the laws. We understand how clients can be. So it just works. We bought this for the features, okay? Elevation, views, exposed beams, block size, etc. Now, for this property, the building and pest report showed issues, okay? Which delighted us because we knew what our clients' intentions actually were. And what I didn't know, but luckily for me, I'm surrounded by superstars and people that have been doing this for a very long time. And in every single capital city, the laws are obviously different. The state, the tax laws to a certain extent, depending on the lease agreements, etc. They're all kind of different. And my team there came back to me and said, did you know that there's a big difference between capital improvement, which is renovation, or repairs? So a typical renovation is claiming a small percentage of depreciation over a 40-year period, but a repair can be fully claimed within one financial year. So the big difference here is that the building and pest inspection came back saying there's leaks in the bathroom, there were some issues with the electrical, you need a new circuit breaker. There were just issues in certain things. The air conditioning is no longer compliant or up to code, etc. So because the building and pest inspection said that, we were able to renovate these under the guise of a repair. So my client is going to spend probably around $70,000. You know, I believe they're doing the bathroom, they're painting, they're doing carpets. I also know they're ripping up the carpets. So when they paint, they're getting it cheaper because they're just getting someone in to actually spray paint the entire interior of the house, which is great because they don't have to put drop sheets down or anything. So it's cheaper, it's easier, and it's faster. And what they're doing is they're doing paint, bathroom, carpet, electrical, air conditioning, and a few other bits and pieces. Anything that isn't compliant or up to code can be classified as a repair, and all up, the client's going to get an instant around $70,000 tax write-off for the next financial year. Instant. And I was also informed that if the client does intend to Airbnb the property instead of do a full normal lease period, the furniture, which he's going to use when he moves back into his house, the furniture is going to be tax deductible as well. So this was just a really good buy and just education for me. I learned something new every single day, and this was just really great. And shout out to Ben, my buyer's agent, who bought this specific one in Melbourne. Just an absolute legend. This house was only 15 years old and sitting on a decent block of 525 square meters. It's a corner block too, next to schools, shops. And we got this off market due to our relationship with the agent. There's a nice picture of the kitchen and the breakfast bench here. I know I got a recent satellite image and it looks like they're having a house party with heaps of cars there. I think there was some renovations going on or something happening next door, which was these two, but then you did have these three for the house. But I zoomed out because whenever I see lots of cars on a block, I freak out for a second, think who's living there exactly. But when you zoom out and look at all the other properties, that's not happening. It's just this house, and these people are leaving because we're getting brand new tenants in, and the property inside looks fantastic. So we're really, really happy. So distance to CBD, about 30 kilometers north of Brisbane CBD. We bought this for $820,000. $620 per week is average what we're probably going to get a rental yield, which is about 3.9%. And why do we love this purchase? It was a young house. It was on a decent block. It's close to shops, amenities, with owner-occupier appeal. It just ticked all the boxes. And this is the last one I'm going to show you before I go. This was a great purchase by our Sydney team. My man Joe bought this, and we had a client who was looking to purchase a home. This was very much a lifestyle-based choice, and the client wanted a property which allowed them to continue practicing various hobbies close to specific amenities. It was definitely an emotional purchase. Owner-occupier purchases typically are more emotional, whereas investor purchases are much more logic-based. So we found this beautifully renovated 2-bedroom in a classic 1960s red brick unit block in Sydney's inner west suburbs. And the owner had done an impressive job completing a top-to-bottom transformation of this unit. Bedrooms, bathrooms, new vanities, lighting, kitchen, built-in wardrobes, all brand new. Really, really beautiful. And to me, this is kind of the perfect blend, because the adage is often that I get from people is that, you know, they don't build them like they used to. The old school stuff's much better, stronger. There's no gymnasiums, pools, elevators, etc. And that's exactly right. The problem, though, is typically inside, they're from the 1960s. And the internals are ugly. It just doesn't work, right? Doesn't make sense. But because the layout is typically quite large, you're getting a really good property. So Distance from the CBD, 8 kilometers. It is, I think, 600 meters. Yeah, 600 meters to the train station and major shops. Like I said, it's old school versus modern. So old school, large floor plan in a low density block with modern internals, great location, 600 meters from the train station and major shops. 1.150, and we really tried to negotiate hard on this, but they just weren't letting it go. They knew what they had, okay? They knew what they had. $700 per week, give or take, at around 5.5% rental yield, but we're not going to get that because the client's going to live in it because he loves it. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Thank you for being a part of our community. This is great. It's growing every day. We can't help you until you actually commit. And once you commit, we won't let you fail. So we are bringing two things together here, your desire to build wealth and our 18 years now of buying property all across Australia with experts, boots on the ground on every major capital city. And for more than 3 decades, Providence have helped Australians open a life of opportunity through real estate, giving them the future that they want. So we buy unique quality assets in areas where demand outpaces supply, and we focus on properties that appeal to a much larger market of owner-occupiers, not just investors. And we buy in the right capital cities at the right time, guided by economic property cycles. And we've got plenty of videos on that if you'd like to go look at them. We buy the property which is uniquely suited to your situation, which will act as a springboard to your next property and that wealth building stage. This is how top performing investors build wealth, and this is how we do it here too. If you like what you've seen here and you want to be kept in the know with the Australian property market, make sure you like this video, subscribe. I want to thank you for your time today, and I will see you next month.